Are you one of those riders that just feels like you can never get your heels down, that your ankles will never be flexible enough, that you're never going to get this thing that's the holy grail of riding? Well, I'm here to give you a quick tip to help you get those ankles into shape. You know, so many instructors tell you heels down at all costs, no matter what. It's going to really make you secure and safe. Well, we'll talk about that at a later date, but first let's understand what we're talking about. And let's have a little bit of anatomy so we can be clear. Because I think once you understand the anatomy, it's going to help you understand what you're trying to do and why sometimes it's difficult. Okay, so let's just jump on over and look at some anatomy. By the way, these images I get from my 3D app, which is fantastic because it just helps explain so much better. So this is looking at your foot from the lateral view. And many people aren't clear about what the ankle joint actually is. But before we actually talk about the ankle joint, let's just say this is your heel bone. It's called calcaneus. Okay, this is tibia coming down, and here's fibula. Fibula. And fibula is like an arch. So I think that when you realize that tib-fib, if you take your hand like this and you make an arch and you put your wrist in between, tib-fib makes the arch for your ankle. So your ankle joint is that joint between the arch and what's known as talus. So let's just go back and look, and we'll come up to another image here. There we go. We'll just make it a little bit bigger. So talus is the bone between calcaneus and tib-fib. So this is your talus bone right here. And so your true ankle is right there. That's the only place where you can make that change to have your heel go down in relation to the front of your foot. So when you think about it, it's kind of like a little bit of a flipper, that the ankle can be a little bit flippery. But if that bone gets jammed, or if it's a little bit off to one side, or maybe you've damaged your ligaments a little bit, slipping off of something and twisting your ankle, it doesn't feel as flexible. But, you know, the simple way to think about it, again, is just to make the arch with one hand and feel this movement here. And that's kind of what we're talking about for the ankle. So now, that's the thing that we want to move. And then what are the things that affect ankles? Well, first of all, the length of your foot is going to make a big difference as to whether or not you can get your heel really deep. When you think about it, if you're a short-footed person, it's only going to go down a little versus a long-footed person. So that's one thing. The next thing is that some people have lax ligaments. Their ligaments are, you know, not as tight, if you will, as others, or as tough or short, or if you've twisted them or damaged them, maybe they didn't heal real well, or they're a little bit scarred. But the laxity of the ligaments and the length of your foot, and then understanding where your ankle is, those are all the elements that are going to play into being able to get your heel down. So if we understand that this is where we're trying to make that movement, and it's where tib-fib meets talus, okay, that gives us a better idea of what we're trying to do. And then let's just get to looking at this from the front. And here's where I've described that arch that tib-fib makes over talus. So here's the arch, here's fibula, and here's the joint. Let's just put that in a different color. Here's the joint that we're really talking about. It's way back at the back of the foot. It's not the front of the foot. So if instead what you've done is push down with your toe, your ankles go in the wrong direction. So if you brace with your toes against the stirrup, especially putting it on the ball of your foot, your ankle's coming up and it can't go down. So we have to alleviate some of that pressure to make the ankle movable. But let's just go back and look at this. Okay, so that's where you want to move. And then if we find a picture, this is kind of very typical, this appearance of the rider in the saddle, where, see, they've got the ball of the foot kind of pushing, and then you can see how the heel is up. So that's what I just described with saying if you push with the ball of the foot and the ankle comes up, it can't go down. It's really just simple that way. So you really want to make sure you're not bracing with your toes on the stirrup. So what you want to do is stand with your ankle bones together. And the ankle bones are those bumps, or those malleoli, the bumps on the sides of your ankle, right? Just put them together and then just widen your feet out a little bit. You can see this person has her feet at a bit of an angle, and she has the two bones connecting right there, and just make very small circles. So what you can do is just take your body and make very small circles over your feet. Now, if your heels come up a little bit, don't worry about it. This is something that you can practice and do several times, like a couple seconds a day, is just put your ankles together and make these little circles so that you can figure out how to find the mobility in the ankle joint without bracing with the toes. And then once you do that, then you get back in the stirrup, back in the saddle, and then you have this lovely flat foot with your heel now coming down instead of up. So if you like that, just be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel, wendymurdoch-EQ, and always remember to enjoy the ride.